Hello, everybody. Good morning. Welcome from California. I'm Jeff Kingston, and I'm very, very pleased to be able to introduce to you Marc Juneau, who is the Vice President of Sales for Blancpain. Marc has been at Blancpain in one capacity or another since 1995. He is a trained watchmaker, incidentally. He spent a lot of his career as the brand president in the United States, and now he is based in Switzerland as the vice president of sales, a position he has held since 2011. Marc is going to be talking to us about the new introductions, the novelties of Blancpain for this year. And one other thing to mention, the part of housekeeping before I turn it over to Marc, we'll have time for some questions at the end of his presentation. Marc, nice to see you in Switzerland.
Yes, it's been a while. Thanks for the introduction, Jeffrey, and welcome everybody there for this virtual presentation. It's really a pleasure to be part of it. So let's say that I don't think this year was really a year to launch a lot of newness, complication and all. We decided to keep it simple and to basically have evolution of existing pieces. Now, let me just start by saying that Blancpain is in a very good place right now. We have three families, whether it's the 50 Fathom, the men's Villere collection, and the ladies' watches. They all well, all doing between 30 and 40%, so it's very well diversified. And we just decided to, since we paid so much respect to the ladies in the last 3-4 years with moon phase watches and such, we decided to focus on the evolution of the 50 Fathom, the Bathyscaphe, and the Villere collection. So maybe let's start with briefly. I mean, usually the 50 Fathom, you can see here on the left. This is the piece from 1953, the first 50 Fathom, which really gave us a very strong history, a genuine history, something we've worked on for quite a while. And I must say that since the return, since Marc has arrived in 2002, I believe, in Blancpain, we really much focused on the 50 Fathom, on that part of our chapter, the history chapter, and have done very well with it, So it was Mr. Fichter at the time, who actually is on the picture there, who actually was the CEO of Blancpain from 50 to 1980, who really, under his leadership, developed the 50 Fathom. Now, on the next slide, you can see that since let's say that this watch was designed with the help of Mr. Manouvier, who was the frog from the French Navy. Obviously, the French Navy had first access to this watch, but you can see that following the years, we actually have made this watch available to many other Navy SEALs around the world. You can see here on a picture of John F. Kennedy reviewing the troops, and people have wearing the 50 Fathom, and the creation of this watch has provided us immense amount of patent, okay? Here you have a picture of the Bathyscaphe. 50 Fathom was considered at the time kind of a big piece, so we decided to make it at the time, 1957, I believe, or 56, to make it like an everyday diving watch, which is, easy 24/7 type of a piece. I put this piece there because ultimately one of the new pieces this year is a piece called the Day-Date Desert, which is a limited edition to 500 pieces. It's used in stainless steel. And you can see here on this frame, you can see our friend Ernie Brooks, who is was a devoted in early on marine photographer, who actually chose one day to something fantastic in 1962 to actually find one of the lowest point on Earth, Death Valley, where I personally didn't know there was enough body of water to make a dive. He made some dives, and we decided it was a fun thing to do. Let me say that we have the 50 Fathom edition book that comes out every year, and that we collect pictures from different and various photographers around the world. So I don't know, personally, I've driven through desert 3 times and never thought that this, there will be any life. You feel like you're on the, on the Earth of Mars, and ultimately we really were, we understood that there was actually a lot of life. So we decided to make this watch. You can see it's a similar case, similar dial as the vintage piece that came out a couple of years ago. You can see that it has really a dial that whenever you move the watch around, the color changes a lot in order to kind of and play with that with that feature. You can see the date is a very practical piece, stainless steel case, the ceramic bezel with liquid metal marking. It's an easy watch to read, extremely well received. You can see that, of course, it's equipped with 5 days power reserve, 13 line movement. So it's a full respect, obviously, all equipped with silicium escapement. So this is the top of the game in watchmaking today. And it's a great 500 pieces limited edition. It retails for 12,700, I believe. You can see some PR shots here of the piece, different environment, and really gives you a good representation of what the piece is, something we use on the, of course, on the social media. Now, coming with the same place, here you have the Macaron. The Macaron is actually a limited edition of 15 watches we did for WatchTime. Glad to be part of it. And then we actually, in French Polynesia, Marc is, I guess, Marc, I have to say that really Marc Hayek is an avid marine diver and a marine photographer, and it's really the reason why we are so involved in this world. And it actually created an expedition in the South Pacific to study the Macaron. The Macaron being the biggest hammerhead shark, and actually going there, 2 or 3 years, maybe, I guess, to get to see the evolution and to study their behavior. So again, what we did is that we made it limited to 50 pieces. 10 pieces were sold, and the money was raised, and we put $1,000 for each piece sold toward the Macaron Protection Society. So it's very much, parallel to what we have done in marketing for the 50 Fathom. And we're going to play a little movie. I think something to add is that, whether we drove car in the past, or we dive, or we involved in various things, there's not much opportunity. It's really like, these movies, for example, these pictures were taken by Marc Hayek himself during this expedition in January. So you can see it's really something that we live through at Blancpain. I think it's a fantastic aspect of it. It's just not a logo we pay to place, but just really part of who we are with a strong you can see the great rotor made for, and then the light that you have there, unbelievable. Never driven, I never been to South Pacific. So this is the 50 limited edition of the green piece. All right. Now, of course, green was so well, this was, I guess, the year of the green. We decided to bring that beautiful arrangement of colors into the chronograph version of the bathyscaphe. You can see that you have here a black ceramic a case with a green dial, a green bezel, a very nice piece. As far as technology, it's something that we'll go over, I guess, tomorrow afternoon, whenever we'll have the panel on chronograph, and we'll have the opportunity to explain to you where we stand with the chronograph mechanism in Blancpain today, right?
But Marc, maybe just a word about the chronograph. I realize tomorrow we'll talk in greater depth about it, but maybe a few highlights that you could mention concerning its frequency and Blancpain's history with the chronograph.
The chronograph, I mean, definitely, it's the mid-80s, early mid-80s that we came out, with the chronograph, the 1185, I would think the most respected high-end chronograph and successful, and that, we made readily available for quite a few high-end brands in Switzerland. Not everybody, but the people who contributed to the auto watchmaking through the years, and it was well used. Fantastic vertical clutch, beautiful piece, and after when was that? 2017, we came up with the Chronograph 11, the new version of it, which, you know, we actually, this is the movement here. And actually here we have 5 Hertz, 50-hour power reserve, much more accurate, always a vertical clutch. And it is the improved version of a chronograph, which the 1185 that came out in the early 80s, what once was no longer protected, you know, with its patents, that people started to copy piece for piece. So we decided to not take it personally. We realized that we're in a good position. We have the heritage, we have the know-how of the chronograph manufacturing, which is, the chronograph is not an easy movement to make. A lot of watchmakers will tell you, an engineer, it's a hard mechanism to make. And you have here, we decided to take it to the next level and to actually improve the chronograph, which remains a very, very good part of our business. Now, visiting the green here, we have Harold Hoyce, who is the photographer who visited here. For example, it is in northern Italy. It's a dam that they close in the spring, and the water, you can see the lake creates itself. It actually creates, and the trees get submerged and the leaves stay on. So you have those very, very interesting pictures of it. So you can see the watch actually won by him in Switzerland earlier this year. So that is not limited, as I told you. So here what we have now is we did the Sedna. We did the Sedna a few years back. We had it, you know, with a black dial, black strap, black bezel, and we decided to, again, the blue does so what at Blancpain. I mean, let's face it, Blancpain is known for an opaline dial, but whenever we adventure ourselves with different color, the blue color is definitely the most successful by far. So again, you have this mixture of the red, Sedna, gold, and blue has a great contrast. And let's see, you know, Sedna is a patent from the Swatch group. It's actually, we know that the redness of the metal comes from the, you know, the content of the copper, but we add palladium, and that's the redness, the reddishness of the color of the case stays much longer. And that's the beauty of this piece. This piece retail for what, 25,200, beautiful picture, beautiful shot there, as you can see. And again, bathyscaphe is it's a growing piece, and it's arrived really at the right time to go after the millennium, the business, many different parts of the world, even in Asia, where classicism on the stated watches, the moon phase watches do very well. But I think people today are very much, the younger crowd, you know, receptive to this type of pieces. Now, what we did is a bracelet that, you know, Jeffrey, you remember from a few years back. It was a 71 bracelet that we had on, my God, on the trilogy originally in 1996 or 97. But we revisited this piece. Now we make this bracelet in titanium. So the 50 fathom, 45 millimeter piece is available today, whether it's a regular 50-50, regular 3 hands, or the large date that you have, are both available on the titanium bracelet. So now just to show you a little bit here is that we came up with a bracelet where every single link of the bracelet is sizable. And you can see that little animation that you can actually unlock each and every link and actually size the watch. So that's a fun little approach, and I think a very practical if you know, needed to fix the piece.
And Marc,
yes.
You don't need a special tool to do that unlocking,
no,
correct?
Actually, yes, absolutely. No, the regular screwdriver of the right width, so that you don't damage or mark the screw. So very easy, very simple process to do. Very easy. So that's, you know, we have titanium does very well at Blancpain in the sport collection, and then we decided to actually, you know, invest and actually make it, you know, make it available on the bracelet. Okay, beautiful. So now for you, you see, Jeffrey, just for you, we put this watch on the picture. You can see here that is what, Jeffrey, you wear. This is the Villere Perpetual calendar with the 8-day power reserve, a beautiful movement, you know, all silicium equipped, and of course with the with that great dial. Huh? enamel dial. Now, in the Villere, believe it or not, the 38 millimeter Villere collection is actually, it actually comes from 2003. So, so vintage 2003. In 2010, we made a 40 millimeter version of the Villere, but now we decided to actually revisit the 38 and to actually have the signature, the code of the 40 millimeter. As you can see, you can see on the left is the 6223 that came out in 2003, millésime 2003, and on the right, what we just did this year. You can see we revisited all this. It's a slight evolution of all the proportion, the position of the Roman markers, with the kind of a bell button feel to it. You can see the counterweight of the sweep second hand. You can see the split of the dolphin hands, and the crown has been revisited. So again, it remains a classic, and I think that at one point we thought the 38 millimeter will be eclipsed by the 40 millimeter, but it's definitely not the case. And I think that the 38 is definitely a very strong part of our viewer business. Open case, obviously silicium, the movement, the 1151, which is has been a workhorse of Blancpain for quite a few years, a 2-barrel, 100-hour power reserve. And you can see that this piece is equipped with a red gold rotor in a red gold version and a yellow gold in a stainless steel version. So extremely well, yeah, go ahead.
You refer to silicium, and the English word would be silicon. And
okay, silicon. Okay,
you could talk maybe just a few words about what advantages that brings to the watch and where it's used in the movement.
Yes, absolutely. So first of all, magnetism has been the challenge that all watch companies have faced. We live, increasingly in a world full of magnetism, and often watches will actually gain 20 minutes a day because just the hairspring is a very fragile, the most difficult to work part of the watch, used to actually be magnetized and definitely impact the accuracy of the watch. So silicon has been used, silicone has been used for now by a few brands. As I tell you that Breguet Senior, Mr. Hayek Senior just launched that at Breguet, and we just did it gradually. And let me just say that today at Blancpain, 100% of the watches have a silicium, hairspring as well as a fork. So there's no presence of metal that can be magnetized, and that ultimately enabled us to come up with diving watches like in the bathyscaphe or even the 50 fathom. So we don't have to have that shelf, that bell of heavy metal to protect the watch against magnetism. So we can actually display the beauty of the mechanism. Okay.
And so, can you add a couple of words about what silicon does, just a couple, in terms of isochronism and in terms of positional accuracy and the things that affect the running of the watch?
Oh, I think it's definitely one of the latest material to use and enable us to have isochronism improve. That that's really the ability of a movement to have as much power until the end and accuracy. So I think it's a great latest development in the regulation of a mechanism in this industry, and very, very few are the watch companies who actually have access or developed it, as we're lucky, and actually display it in their watches. So it really gives us an edge in technology.
And for those watch collectors who may not be totally familiar with the term, isochronism refers to the way in which the watch's running rate and running will be affected by the state of wind of the watch. And silicon is a material that is less affected by the change in torque between fully wound and unwound.
That is correct. Absolutely. All right. Okay, so next, the picture of this same piece at 38 millimeter revisited with the version in stainless steel or with a diamond bezel. You can see actually those two watches pricing on bottom with or without the bracelet. Okay. That's okay. And then you have the gold version of this watch, of course, you know, with a diamond on bracelet. As you can see, not a huge revolution, just an evolution of a well-proven watch that has brought us a lot of success and happiness, you know, around the world. So now the same approach has been done with the moon phase, which is, I think Blancpain, we will sell, you know, 30% of the watches, 40% of the watches we sell actually have a moon phase. It's definitely been the, you know, the signature of the brand, and that's since 1983, I believe, whenever it was, you know, reintroduced at Blancpain. So same approach, same revisited, same signature code that you can see. You can see that again, the version from 2003 on the side, and then the version revisited this year with all the differences that we have applied to this watch. So the watch is in stainless steel again, available stainless steel with diamond, 38 millimeter, you know, in Asia and in a lot of part of the world is a watch that, you know, was known to be a men's watch, but a lot of women actually wear that size. That's why we made it available with diamond bezel, and this watch will soon be available with the 5-strap boxes. So the watch will be very easy to switch the strap, something that anybody can do very, very easily without damaging your fingernail. So same approach in gold and the gold diamond bezel. You can see the prices remain intelligent and very well received. And I must say that deliveries have been very good, and already turning these new pieces has been a great chapter so far. And then after that, we have, which is not limited, we have again played with the blue color, this time in the 40-meter version of the Villere. As you can see on the right, the 3 hands, and then the moon phase watch on the left. The blue, the contrast of the red gold, the blue color is very warm, very rich, very present, and doing extremely well with that piece. Again, non-limited, which is a good thing. And you have here the piece available, as you can see, on the middle mile bracelet, as well as on the strap. So, but that's it. As you can see, I mean, this is where Blancpain stands today. Obviously not the year to launch so many, you know, complication, and so we just decided to have some evolution of the product. And then missing today the newness is the ladies' watches. But again, as I was saying earlier, we have had so many beautiful new ladies watches. We revisited the basic 6104, the basic automatic, as well as the moon phase watches in a couple of diameters. So I think really whether, you know, just the Villere, the 50 fathom, the bathyscaphe, as well as the ladies are doing very well and are very well consistent and bring us a lot of consistency. That's a very good thing. Okay, so here I'm in standing in Pau de Switzerland. I'm ready for any question you might have on Blancpain as a whole, and of course maybe on the novelties of the year.
Sarah, do you have some questions?
Yeah, we've had some questions come in throughout your presentation. Thank you, Marc. We do have a question from Brendan, and he was curious to know about how would collectors see the Gambessa v. Deep Med documentary if they don't live in Europe?
Well, I mean, if we go and do a research and challenge, you know, in the South Pacific, how is it going to be received by the French people or the Swiss people? At one point, the planet is round, but it's covered by 75% of water. Sometimes you have to do, you know, special events in different part of the world. I mean, the Mediterranean Sea definitely needs attention, as well as any other, you know, part of the world. And I think that obviously Laurent Balessa is a French marine biologist, and then I thought it was a very smart thing to bring the attention to this part of the Mediterranean Sea. He's French, and then he dove in his backyard, the backyard where he grew up as a kid, and with that unbelievable approach of, you know, remaining in such a depth for so long, we were able to discover that ultimately there is hope, and that the Mediterranean Sea has a fantastic amount of life and presence in great depth.
Great, thank you. We also have a question from Patrick, who was curious if you could give us a little bit more information about your partnership with Oceana or Oceana. in the expedition that you're leading there?
You know, it's a real relationship that was started about a week ago, and I don't have all the information on it, but I think that we want to take it to the eyes of the world, and then America is an important market, and people are aware of the situation, and we want to take advantage of the impact or the presence of all these people in this place can actually have, and we want to contribute to the great work they do.
Also, we had a question from Frank, who is curious, any plans to release new editions of the Air Command that came out last year?
You know, I was expecting that question. This piece was fantastically well received and limited to 500 pieces. Great result. I mean, obviously, the ocean is more our environment because of our strong history of the 50 fathom, you know, the first modern diving watch. But obviously, we made some Air Command, and I think we have done very well with it. And the aesthetic of the watch was fantastic. We have the movement to do it, which is tomorrow we'll discuss with Jeffrey more about it. But give us the genuine approach of really, I guess we will most likely we'll see another version of it with other color, to the movement, but no more on the topic now. But yes.
All right, so stay tuned, everybody.
I have a strong conviction something will happen.
And in a similar vein, we have a question from Jean. The Macaron edition was sold out faster than I could say 50 fathoms. Any plans on re-releasing another no-date version of the bathyscaphe?
This man knows people at Blancpain. Maybe he has a direct connection. Yes, we have we have a fantastic business plan, again, with 3 families that are very well, healthy. And then we have a lot of projects, and we will, launch them in the years to come.
Excellent.
Okay.
And then also, I think we have time for 2 more. So,
all right.
Christopher was curious, with the 50 fathoms design, which I know is very iconic, it's been untouched for more than 10 years. Are there any plans of launching a new generation of that collection?
Well, we have the 50 fathom that came out in 2008, if I'm not mistaken. We have the bathyscaphe, which was revisited in 2013, if I'm not mistaken. And we look at the 50 fathom, 45 millimeter 50 fathom. And frankly, we don't see anything to be done to it. I think it's a classic on its own. I don't see maybe playing with the size, going down to a 42 millimeter diameter, to make it without a date. Could always be possible, has been discussed, and do more the size of the Barracuda. I think that's something we can expect to see, for example, in Japan and in America. A 42 millimeter 50 fathom has been brought up many times. So again, it's a 50 fathom. The bathyscaphe. It's a very strong, healthy family, and I think we can all expect to see evolution of that piece in a few years, and not only in the treatment of material and colors, but also maybe in sizes. So yes, I think we have all the movements of the right size that enables to make these watches in different sizes, with movement of respectful size inside, in proportion to the case. So I think we're all ready for it, and is to be expected.
Well, right. Marc, in fact, you've had a number of special edition 50 fathoms of the 40 millimeter size.
The Barracuda,
Yeah, the Barracuda, the tribute to Mil-Spec.
Right, absolutely, yeah. So it will definitely something. Basically, the can is open, I guess now. So it's we've done already a few of those, and there's no reason why we would actually stop now. We understand the appreciation people have of different diameter in that, and make it maybe even more easier for a woman to actually wear as well.
And then just one last question.
Yes.
If there is a collector that's new to your brand that you had the pleasure of meeting, what would be something, what watch of Blancpain would you recommend to somebody that was sort of new to your brand experience?
well, I would suggest that you visit one of our, in America, one of our flagship stores, whether it's on New York on Fifth Avenue and in Las Vegas. And I think that there are some very iconic pieces of Blancpain. I think that one thing, as I always tell my colleague, and I always tell them, whenever you enter a jewelry store, you never have to come up with a story, a kind of, you say, a white lie. You say, well, we have a highly modified Valjoux 7750 movement. Now, at Blancpain, every single watch is equipped with a Blancpain movement that has been thought, the research has been done internally and manufactured internally. And I think that is one of the very rich heritage of the brand, is the commitment to manufacturing and tradition, innovation. It's an important brand for that. And of course, the 50 fathom for people of a different age. And I would say that depends that the watch person that doesn't know much about Blancpain is to really depends where he is in his purchasing pattern and where he wants to really explore. Blancpain, we have a full spectrum of mechanism from the smallest ladies round movement. We do 2 barrels, 100-hour power reserve. Power reserve is never an issue. We'll go up to 8-day power reserve, 12-day power reserve in a tourbillon. So we have a lot to offer in a lot of different price point and level of complication.
Fabulous. Great. Well, thank you so much, Marc. It's been a pleasure.
Yes, it's a pleasure.
Thank you.
To be part of this presentation. All right.
Marc,
yes,
thank you.
Jeffrey.
Thank you so much.